Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Beck.
I'm Nick.
And we're MV Board Gaming. And today we're looking at Ezra and Nehemiah. This is a game published by Renegade Game Studios and Garfield Games. It plays 1, 2, 4, and it is designed by Shem Phillips and S.J. McDonald. Nick is going to go through how you play, and then we're going to give our reviews.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the table. We are set up for a 4-player game of Ezra and Nehemiah. Here is our main board all set up. We have our player boards just a little bit off the screen. We'll reference them when we need. So this game is broken up into weeks. We're going to play 3 weeks. In a week is going to be 6 actions and then 1 day of Sabbath, 1 day of rest. So on our board here, we're going to be doing these 3 types of actions that will correlate with banners. There will be 3 banners that we can play. We'll have the blue, the gray, and the red. And they will all do different things that we're going to cover. So first off, on our player, in our little section here, so if I'm the light blue player, I'll have these cards and these smaller cards for construction. These will mainly drive the game right here. So let's take a look. We're at the beginning of the game. We're going to have 4 cards in our hand, and you're going to decide which card you want to play. You have a couple things to consider when you play them. You have these banners at the top left here. We're going to consider that because that's going to determine what actions we can do and how powerful they are. Now, just because I played this doesn't mean I can't do an action that is red action. It just means that it's more beneficial to us to play the banners that we just played because we just added banners. So naturally, if their actions are better, if we add banners to them, we might want to consider playing a gray or a blue action. Now, if this is your first card, maybe if you really want to do a blue action, you would pick this card to play because you'll have a 3-power blue action. On top of that, we also have this trading action that's an auxiliary action. We can do this before or after our turn, and we can spend bread for 2 coins in this case, and we can spend as many bread as we want for 2 coins each, because this shows this infinite symbol. Another type of that, of those type of trading actions are these. We have to spend money to gates to trade in money for different things. So these are the 2 things that we care about at this present time. This symbology up here we don't care about until the end of the week. So we're going to play 6 actions. You're going to do your first action, and then play will go clockwise from the table. So for your action, you're going to play a card. So let's just say I played this card. We have on our player board 3 slots at the bottom right here, and we're going to play one of those cards. It does not matter at all where you play these cards. So as you play your turn, you're going to play one of these cards. There's no reason to stack right now these cards. It's actually beneficial never to stack until you have to. You can never stack more than 2 cards on these as well. So naturally, we're going to have 2 cards on each of these because, again, we're playing 6 actions. So you can slot this and do your action. So in this case, I'm going to say I have a blue 3-banner action. You can modify this by going over here and slotting one of your 6 workers that you start with at the start of the game. And you can say, I am going to go ahead and add another 3. Okay, so now I have 6. This is a one-time thing. I have 6 banners. This is going to change. This is going to be, so if next action, just to give you a little bit of gameplay, if I did that, now I have 5 banners. I do not count this again because I used it last round. But I have 5 banners. So it's just going to add up. And then if I added a 3-banner here of red, I'll have 4 red banners if I want to do a red action on my 3rd action. So now I think it's most important to go over what these 3 types of actions are: the blue, the gray, the red. I'm not going to describe exactly thematically what's going on, but let me just go over how the game plays, okay? For the red action, you know what, let's start with blue because in my example, I have a 3-power blue that I added another 3 to, so I have 6. There are 2 things you can do with your blue banners, and they're over here at the Torah. So I can spend 3 of my 6 banners and 2 coins to put one of my supply workers, remember I said I had 6 to start with, on one of these bottom people right here. That will give me an immediate bonus, and it will give me an extra banner to use throughout the game. So we're going to say I'm going to use Ezra. That's going to cost me my 3 banners. I have 3 banners left. I'll spend 2 money to the supply. I started the game with 5 money, so I get 3 back. And now I get the Ezra card, which is up here. So right away in the first round, since we're just starting, I'm going to get this black token right here, black cube, and I'm going to slot that on my player board where I have, and this is all random, in this case 6 spots for the cinder. So I have 1 cinder because of that. I also started the game with some cinder. If you take a look, I should have a gold and a white cube. The black ones are cinder. So let's grab these because I started the game with these. All right. So now, when I take this card, this Ezra card, I took the cinder, and I'm going to tuck this in a way that I can only see that blue. And for the rest of the game, all future turns, I have 1 more blue power, 1 more blue banner to add to my actions. And that's what that does. So that is 1 action you can do here. Now, later in the game, I will have access to the ones above it. If somebody else were to use my worker here to gain access to this, they would have to pay me a coin. All right, so we're just going to work our way up here. These are all, in this row right here, are going to be actions that, or areas that will help us during the game. And up top, if you reach the top, that will give you points at the end of the game based on certain criteria. So that's all this right here. It's going to have the cost at the left to go to these spots. Again, if you go through your own spots, you won't owe anyone anything, obviously, because you're going through your own path. But yeah, if you're not the blue player, you have to pay the blue player to go through. And the other option here, so in this case, remember, I spent 3 of my 6, so I still have 3 left. I could spend the 2 of the remaining 3, and I will have none left for that 1, so I'm going to forfeit that 1. But I can do that to move on this site here. So the black would move their tent 1 spot, and they would gain the reward of anything they pass. In this case, I just moved 1, so I'm just going to gain that. If I had moved 4, no problem, you're going to gain everything you pass. So in this case, I get 1 red blessing. The blessings here are pretty easy to explain. I would move 1 right there. I get no bonus. I don't get any of these top bonuses until all 3 of these blessing colors move up that spot. Then I would gain these rewards. All right, that's the blue action over there through the Torah. All right, so let's go and talk about let's go with the red action over here. The first thing you want to consider with the red action is your Levites. So we all start with 1, and that lets us do 1 red action. If I want to spend 2 bread, I can put 1 of my workers that I have in my supply. Remember, that's limited. There's a bunch of other ones you can acquire during the game, but we start with 6. Spend 2 bread. I get a cinder for that. And now I can do 2 red actions based on my flags. So for argument's sake, let's say I have 6 red flags for this action. That's based on the card I played. I have 2 choices of what to do with those banners. Over here, I can put goods out. I can do the white or brown. It'll give me 1 victory point if I use white or brown. If I use gold, I get 2 victory points. And I'll use them based on the red banners over here. Right there. So if I want to spend, let's say I want to spend 2 for some coins. No, let's say I'm going to do 3. I'm going to make it simple because I have 6 red banners in my example. I am going to get some bread. I have to go to the leftmost of that column. So I am going to go ahead and use my gold, which will give me 2 points, and it will give me a bread. So I move up 2 points, blue, start at 10. And then I have 3 left, and I can only do 1 other action because, remember, it counts Levite. So I just use 1 of my red actions. My other one is my second option over here. Let me set this back up. I knocked them over. I can spend a brown or a black. Well, I don't have any brown, so I would have to spend a black to go up 1 on this altar. So that's the altar symbol right there. So that goes up 1 spot. I would get anything you go up on this, you get whatever is printed at the bottom. In this case, that would be bread in that area. Now, the point of doing this is you get negative effects for not going far enough, positive effects for the middle, and very positive effects if you go past these people. So we have them at 4 and 7 based on this card. This is randomized. There are 2 of these cards, and they're double-sided. So right now we're set up at 4 and 7. So I want to try to get past this fella here so I don't lose a victory point. If I'm between them, I get, at the end of the round in Sabbath, I get a red blessing. And if I'm past the final person at 7, I will get a blessing of my choice, not just red. All right, those are your two options there. Optimally, I would have had a brown because I can move up twice because I had 3 banners. But I didn't use 2 of my banners in this case, and there's nothing I can do because I only have 2 actions. I couldn't go back here and do another red banner because I don't have that. All right, that is the red. So now let's talk about the final one, the gray action. So if we do the gray action, we can take these cubes here, and the formula is right here for how many gray actions to tear these down. So we have walls and we have gates. If I have, let's say I have 8 gray banners. 8 is plenty. So 8, this would be simple to tear down, but keep in mind, if I want to build, because if I tear down and build in the same one, that's optimal. That's the best I can do on a turn because you have to focus on one area. I couldn't say I'm going to take here and here. So let's say I have 8 total, and I look around, and for argument's sake, let's say what I have, just so I can show a better example of what I can do. Let's say I have this in my supply, 2 whites and a brown, with an 8-powered gray action. Let me see where I want to go here. This was all randomized as well, taken out of a draw bag. With 8, just so you can see what's going through my head, this would take 6 because I have 3 cubes right here. So if I wanted to remove this before I build, I would need 6 and a 3. I could do that because, remember, on my board, I have a little area I could put workers to give me an extra. So I actually could do this. So for this example, let's say I am going to put one of my workers there to make it 10. I now have 10 gray banners. 6 of them I used for this, 3 times 2. So I have this on my board if I carry them. This would cost 3 plus 3 whites. So just for clearing the rubble, I am going to get a bonus. I'm going to get, in this case, it says I get a purple blessing. So I'm going to move up my purple blessing on my board. And I am going to pay 3 white to the bank. And 3 of the remaining 4 that I have for gray. So I got this, and I'm going to put out a card here to construct a wall. I'm going to draw 3, pick the one I want. It will give me an instant bonus, and it will give me victory points at the end of the game for having done that. In this case, I will get one of my workers from the bank to add to my supply. Now, there are also gates, and you can kind of see them a little bit off the screen. You can see a little bit of them, and they're off to the right, but you can have ownership of these gates as well. So that would be getting a connection. So if I did later in the game, if I built this valley gate, I would get the coins on the card. There will be coins perhaps on cards because remember, if I played a card that said it goes to a gate, in this case this is the valley gate, people have to pay a coin to that gate. And I would get all the coins that are on that gate. In the future, if they have to pay the coin to that gate, it goes right to me because I am the owner of that gate. So in the future, if I were to build this gate, not only would I get that card and the bonuses that are on that card, where's Valley Gate, in this case, retrieve one of my workers, and you'll see why that might be beneficial. And also, I would get that 4 points at the end of the game. I would also get the connection bonus right here. So having built next to a wall next to or a gate next to a wall, you get that connection bonus. So later in the game, if I were to build that and have a worker on it, this wouldn't be here. Then I would get this bonus. I don't get it twice. However, if this was another player, if this was the purple player, we would both get this bonus of a bread and a coin. And that's for building a connection from it to a gate. It has to be adjacent. You can't just ring it around. So there is that. That is the gray action. So let's talk a little bit more about the game in general, of what's going on. So these workers, excuse me, I'm just going to put this on camera. I can put workers in these areas with the arrows in this recessed, just to give you, yes, banners as you saw, but I can also go here where it gives me coins, bread, and other building materials and bread. These are going to be different, a little different for all the players. You can see there's 5 different ones that will be randomized at the beginning. And at the end of rounds, that's when these two areas open up, and where your remaining workers can be put in these areas to give you bread if you need to feed, and building materials, coins, things like that. You can also develop. So remember I said you can use that trading action at the bottom of these cards. That is one of the auxiliary actions you can do before or after your turn. The other auxiliary action you can do is to spend the required resources to flip any of these and upgrade it. If I had 8 coins, I could flip this. I would get the immediate bonus, which is 1/10 movement. And I would also get 2 victory points at the end of the game and an income. Certain income after our 6 days when we're on our Sabbath. I'll be able to retrieve one of the workers I assigned here because I then can assign them over here. That's what that symbol is. Anytime you see that, that is an income. We'll go over that right now. So now that you understand the 2 auxiliary actions, one being I could trade using the card, or I can spend the required resources to upgrade these tiles. Those are your 2 types. You can do any. You can do 1 time on any of your turns. You could not trade and develop. Okay, so after our 6 rounds, we played 6 cards. Everyone's played their 6 cards. We're going to go to a Sabbath phase, and that's going to be listed out right over here. So we're going to do that income that I said. Anyone that has income, that could be even from these areas here, where if somebody had a person there, they're going to have an income where they can move to on this track and get the benefits. So we're going to look to see what anyone has on their board, and anyone has on the Torah, and we're going to resolve that. We're going to resolve this phase that I remember where the altar, see if you get a negative or a positive result. We're going to have to feed our workers, so any workers in your supply that are on your board, that are on this board, except for Levites. Levites will not be fed, but anyone else, including your starting gatekeeper that you had to pick at the very beginning of the game. All those need a bread. If you cannot provide a bread, you will lose 2 victory points. Okay, so then we're going to also tuck away one of those 6 cards we played. We're going to tuck away and score. Let's take a look at that. This is the part where I said we didn't care about it right away because we care about it at the end of the week. So this one's saying, let's say this is the one I tucked away, and it's going to go right where I had Ezra, down here, tucked away like that. This one is going to say, all right, for as far as my red blessing is, I'm going to get a victory point. So you're going to add that, and then that becomes another blue banner. So now I have 2 permanent blue banners. At the end of the second round, it's worth noting that you have to tuck away 2, not just 1. So don't forget that. Then we're going to look at who is farthest on the altar track, and they will get an additional worker. That is the same case in the second round. In the third round, they'll get 3 victory points. And we're going to do that 3 rounds. So that is how you're going to do that. You're going to score various victory points. You're going to score victory points for gold, for the wood, stone, the food. That's all going to translate over to silver in every 5 silvers of victory point. You can get those victory points to the development tiles that I showed you. Things you flipped are all 2 victory points. Altar, again, 3 victory points at the end. You can get VP for the walls and the gates. Again, that all shows at the bottom left. So if you own the Valley Gate, you're getting 4. We just go around the board and count up your victory points there. And you're also going to get victory points for different scroll tiles. So you can see if you're the first person that goes to a certain row, you get this bread. But not only that, everyone on that row is worth 3 points in this example. 2 here and 4 up here on top of the other bonuses that will be endgame as well. And you see whoever has the most victory points is the winner, and that is a gist of how you play Ezra and Nehemiah. We're going to go back up top and tell you what we think.
All right. Thank you, Nick, so much for the overview of how you play Ezra and Nehemiah. What are your thoughts on that? What are your first impressions when you opened it up? Did you back it on Kickstarter, or what was the story?
I did not. I bought it retail. It seemed like it had good opening reviews, so I wanted to check it out. They have obviously a good, rich history. We reviewed so many games from this publisher, from these designers. So it was one that I wanted to add to the collection. The most recent one we did was Scholars of the South Tigris. That's the last review we did from this, I believe, this publisher. So I was excited to get this one on the table. It's not in that same line of South Tigris, West Kingdom, but definitely wanted to try it out. Or North Sea was another, they had another series like that. So this one, it is a bit of a heavier one, so that's a good thing. Usually, not always. Sometimes it's needlessly heavy. I don't feel like this is the case here.
Yeah.
So first impressions when I'm playing the game, there are only 3 basic things I have to explain, like the 3 things you can do, but they are. It's not terribly straightforward. You're not going to. This is an entry level game by any means.
Yeah.
But it does break it down in a way that it is fairly easy for me to explain, at least, and it is just up to the players if how comfortable they are with that type of game.
Yeah.
So right away, let's go over some pros of our experience of pros of gameplay. You want to start us off with some pros that you can think of right away?
Sure, we can talk about, we played this at 2 and 4 players a couple of times. We had a couple of gaming sessions playing it at 2, him and I, and then also with Andrew and Sam and Alyssa and Tim, our friends. And so I think as a pro, what I think about is Alyssa saying, this game I really understand, and it was pretty straightforward to go through the teach for it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think a lot of time had to be spent clarifying items in the game.
Yeah. For a heavier game, I think it is true. And I was surprised she said that about this game, but she had a grasp of it more. So we play a ton of games with Alyssa and Tim. So it was an interesting choice for her to pick this one as the one she stated that I really can wrap my head around this game.
Yeah.
Did she win this one, or did she win Windmill Valley?
I think she won
this one, right?
This one, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the case.
Yeah,
so that may have helped too.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, first impressions, looking at the game when you open it, it's a lot of beige, but it's not that bad of a beige. Like, I think there's symbology everywhere that kind of decorates the board, but there's a lot to look at. At first it was like, oh gosh, this is so busy. I don't know, where does one area start and the other area end,
Yeah.
Looking at it. But you get, I think, very accustomed to the symbols pretty quickly. I don't think that there's anything that throws you for a loop where you're like, what could that mean? Like in this game, because there could be. There's games we played where you have to check when you first few times you play it. Those Kingdom games, you do have to look a lot at the iconography until you get familiar.
Yeah.
I found that this one didn't have an overwhelming amount of symbols.
Just the Torah action where they have all those. You're gonna have some questions there.
That's true.
To this play, I'll still have, if there's one out there, I'm not like, I'll have to reference the rule book on that one. That's the busiest iconography in the entire game, is that one action. It would be the blue banner action. It has some callings of games like Paladins in their series, so if you play Paladins, you might be pretty comfortable with some things they're trying to do with how powerful your actions are.
Yeah.
And the banners and whatnot. And the card play too. They even do the top-bottom play type thing that you have in Paladins. They do that with the construction cards here.
Yeah.
It's a rich game. So my biggest pro is it's rich. The actions are rewarding. You feel like you're doing something every time pretty much, or setting up for something nice for a future turn if you're not doing very much. So it always feels like you're headed in a direction and you're trying to exploit a certain direction. That's because of the nature of the game. You're trying to really hone in on certain banner colors and make that action more powerful as you go. And you're trying to play your cards optimally so you can use your trade action or you can get enough resources to do a develop auxiliary action. So like I said, it's a rich experience. It is very enjoyable in that regard. Any other positives? I think... So I like the way you get resources in this game. I like it's that action of tearing down the rubble and all of a sudden you get the resources.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a cool idea. I like that idea a lot. It impressed me right when I realized that is the way you're getting resources. That's cool. It's a thematic game, a very thematic game. If this is something that intrigues you in any fashion, it is cool of, tearing down the rubble, building up these walls and gates and, contributing to the Torah. So.
Yeah, and the recessed boards were a big win, too. I always like to see recessed boards, modular, where it's different each time you play your setup. You don't know what quite you're going to get to start the game and what bonus you'll have, and then when you flip it over, it might do something a little different. So I like that, too, the elders and stuff,
And the resources on the board are random, too. So you might pick your gate based on the resources surrounding that gate that you own. Yeah. So you can work on that. Really cool. Really cool. Cool ideas. The art is great. It really pops. The box, I love the box. The people that in the art are really nice, really stark art. I like it a lot. As far as negatives or neutrals...
Well, I wanted to ask you, did you think this game took a long time? It says that it's 120.
Mm-hmm.
I know when the first time we played, it was going to take long because when you're learning it, that was probably 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours maybe spent doing that. Well, would you say about it when we played it at 4 and then when we played it at 2 when we knew the game a little better?
At 4, this game is taking too long. Yeah, that's a negative. So if that's what you're hearing at, that's a negative for me. It takes too long. It does somewhat overstay its welcome a little bit. I'll just say, kind of. It's just too long for me. But it says on the box 2 hours. 2 players is probably 2 hours. Yeah, I don't know about 4. If everyone knows exactly what they're doing after multiple plays, maybe the second play, third play, might be able to come in 2 hours or just over.
Yeah, I feel like we were closer to 4 the times
with
we played it.
Yeah, there was some analysis paralysis there too that holds it up. You can attribute some of that, but that comes with some games that do have these meaty decisions. So cut some slack there, but it is overall, I'll give it a negative score for that.
Yeah, because you have a finite amount of turns each round. Like, you're going to play 6 cards, and you're not really ever going to get a bonus that's going to make you go again or do anything. You're going to have an extra turn. So you're having a set amount in that week that you're playing, right? Or it's a week that it represents. So every move is sort of calculated for that reason. So that does lead to the AP, as they say.
I think if you're playing with 4, just make a point to have the people think about what they're going to do in their turns. Because if they don't, and they just wait till it's their turn to think about it, you're going to be there for maybe an extra hour almost.
Right, and it's not as if anyone can necessarily block you.
No,
like you'll always find
once in a while they might take your thing. Might take your spot at the gates, and they might but you should have a fallback.
Yeah, I think so. So preparedness for your turn is good. What else do we want to say about this one?
The negative? I'll say that I wish there were another gray banner action.
Yes.
You have to focus on one specific area, either a wall, gate, and if it's already torn down, you just have to build. And sometimes you have extra banners left over, quite a bit. It would be nice if it had one more option there. That's basically one thing as far as action goes. I wish there may be another option for the gray banner. It's really nice. The blue banner is really nice that you don't get wasted. It can you move around on that. That's super nice. So I wish that was incorporated a little bit better with the gray actions.
Yeah, I agree. Often I wonder, is that it? Really? I can't do anything else? I got like 2 or 3 more of these guys. Feeding people. I don't always love feeding people, and I've never lost so many points.
That's true.
This game, I can't get it together.
You do starve your people in this game. You've done it twice now.
Yeah, and I lost like at least 30 points.
A lot of points. Vic has lost a lot of points from starving folks. So she doesn't get her bread. It wasn't an issue for anybody else, but yeah, you've done it twice now.
Yeah.
Another negative for me is how much, again, you have to cram to this box. There's no air in this box. You have to jam everything in. I wish there was just a little bit more room. Doesn't have to be a lot, but we're kind of notorious for trying to fit everything in these type of boxes. This company does it all the time, where everything's stacked. Then they do an expansion and bring out a big box. And I haven't done any of the big boxes. So I will, if this comes out with an expansion, there's a good chance I won't get it, because this is just too full, and I don't want to get an expansion, have another box, or get a big box. I kind of just want to be stuck with the base game.
Yeah.
But then they're probably going to add a gray action. I'm like, I wish I had that gray action. I have to stuff it in.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else we really want to say about this?
No, I'm good with scores now. We gave positives, we gave negatives. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to ask too. I don't know if we covered. I talked to Recess Boards. I talked that there is a player cheat sheet reference. I like that. I want to mention that as a pro.
Yeah.
And that it is not just a flimsy piece. It's like a nice piece of cardboard that you can turn around. Then it acts as a holder for your stacking of the flags when you make that decision, that interesting decision of which one you're going to cash to use as a flag and score each at the end of each week. I think that's nice. I like that. That's always cool to think ahead. Like, you're going to lose all these banners. It could be a really OP character card that's going to have lots of, one type of flag that's going to boost your action, but you want to score it. So I like that.
You know what they're going to do with the expansion is they've announced this, but it seems like a logical move, ways to get other cards.
Yeah.
But instead of having a set deck every single time you play, they're probably going to have, I could see that as being a logical expansion.
Well, all this said, I'm going to give my score for this guy. I'm giving it 8.5. I think it's fun. I think it goes well. Like when you and I have played it, you seem to, if you plan ahead your actions, it's very satisfying to just feel like you're progressing towards something or working on something.
Mm-hmm. All right, my score is right there with you, 8-4. So we are almost identical yet again. It's been a little streak here.
Yeah.
We agree pretty much. That's kind of boring.
I know.
We occasionally disagree, but this time 1/10.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much on the same page. It's a really fun game, very enjoyable experience. I do recommend the game, obviously, 8-4, and Vic does too, 8-5. So strong scores.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let us know in the comments below and give it a thumbs up. It really helps us grow the channel. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.